Welcome to the show. Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast. We in the building today.
We in the building.
I almost missed my cue with the music today.
You was ready. I was like, dang, let the music play.
Oh, man, I love laughing together with you. Rarely do it anymore.
I love laughing with you.
I love laughing with you.
You are really fun.
It rarely happens these days. So
Okay,
take
whatever.
it where we
Shut
get
your
it.
ass up. I don't care.
Oh, man, you're not supposed to cuss in the first 2 minutes of the video.
Oh.
Act like you've been someplace before.
How long was the music?
5 seconds at most.
Oh.
You're a math teacher. I don't know. You can't count.
Please shut your mouth. Sorry.
Oh, see? Was that hard?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Your soul is burning. So many different ways. But ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to, come here today. We wanted to say thank you and we appreciate all your support. And, I think, you guys have taken notice to our increased social presence and, just us regularly coming out with episodes every other Tuesday. So we're working really hard to give you guys more of what you want. So thank you for your comments and feedback and support. Joy and I look to have more great shows and topics for you. And we also, look to have more great guests for you. So just want to say thank you again for that love.
We appreciate you.
So for that appreciation, we're going to give you something very special in return. Something that, as a couple that just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
10 years.
10-year anniversary.
It's your anniversary. Hey, anniversary.
A special day for you and me.
I thought you were going to say, do you know what today is?
Hey, messed up, okay. But anyway, despite that, and we still together. We're going to talk through, there's a term called the 7-year itch, and we're going to talk through what that means and how do you work through it. So this episode is how do you work through the 7-year itch? And we're going to talk specifically how we're working through the 7-year itch. And we have 5 reasons or 5 ways that we've worked through that 7-year itch, and we want to just spend a little bit of time to talk about that.
Yeah. So,
way number 1, and it's really more of a fact than the truth, the itch is never scratched.
So the meaning, I never thought of it like that way, because I remember even as a kid, I would watch, there's like an old movie called The 7-Year Itch. And that was
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, okay, duh. And that was like one of the first movies I actually really liked that was old, even as a kid. And I was like, oh, marriages have problems. and then ironically, my parents divorced after 7 years. And I was 7.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the statistics, it says the most common years for divorce are between the 1st and 2nd year.
Yep.
And then between the 5th and 8th year, with 7 and 8 being the highest.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's and even I feel like for me, I wasn't too concerned about the 7-year itch. I was more worried about those couples who are 52. The wife is 52. The husband leaves and marries a 20-year-old, and she's like, well, damn, we've been married 22 years.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more heartbreaking, but that's actually more common because it says 1 in 4 U.S. Americans who divorce are over 50, and they've been married more than 20 years.
Wow. Well, you said all the stats, so you sound like the smart one this episode. So I'm a little jealous.
I used the Google.
But it's true, right? I mean, I think, the simplest way to distill it, I think your relationship gets stagnant and you want something different, right? And it's something about that 7-year mark where it comes up. So, just knowing that the itch is never scratched, that what we're really saying is you always have to work on your marriage. Your marriage is a living, breathing organism that's constantly evolving, changing, and needing different ways to fuel it and to sustain it. So, part of that 7-year itch is making the work to make the marriage work, to make the partnership, to make the commitment work. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's a lot of work. I know it's cliche and people are like, marriage is hard. Marriage is a lot of work, but it really is. That's not just a saying that people say it because it's true. And the main thing that I think about, like with this, like with a 7-year itch, or just like an itch in general, I like analogies. So it's like an analogy to like an actual itch. Like if somebody has an itch, they could either let it continue to itch and not deal with it at all and just ignore the itchiness, or they could get some medicine of some sort that soothes the itch for a little while but doesn't take it away. Or they could go to the doctor and like find the remedy to why they're getting this itch. Like there's like levels to it, and that's like literally how people live. And then another caveat is they could go to the doctor and they could have no good advice, and then they get a second or a third opinion, and they finally, like, it's like, how far are you going to go to like deal with this itch? Are you going to get that third opinion? Are you going to change your eating habits? Like, some people just don't want to put in the work to find a solution, and it may never go away, but at least you have maybe a remedy. I don't know.
I think the analogy I was going to use, it's like going to a barbecue. Like, you're always excited to go to a barbecue. Like, you're always excited to get married. But the reality is, when you go to a barbecue and you're outside in the grass, kicking it and chilling, especially as the sun goes down, that's really when the fun picks up, you're going to get mosquito bites. And each one is going to be in a different part, and each one is going to itch. And you're not going to be able to reach all of them, right? Because I got a mosquito bite, like, right here, which I was able to itch, but it was hard for me to, like, fully find the actual bump because I couldn't see it.
Yeah, and I have one, like, under my knee that I just discovered. Oh, that's why my knee is itching under my knee.
It's easy to get the one right here on your forearm. You can see it. You could wash it, put alcohol, put lotion, cream or whatever on it to get it. But then you have 4 other itches you have to scratch. So that's really the way I look at marriage. It's, going to that barbecue is fun. Going to that wedding is fun. But, it's something about that 7th mosquito bite, that 7-year itch, that's going to be really, really difficult to address. And you have to be patient with each one, because even if you apply the lotion, you have the remedies, that itch is still going to be there.
In every barbecue, you're still going to get bit.
Correct. And so at that point, you have to walk in knowing I'm going to get bit. Now I need to figure out what's my strategy to manage said itches, and i.e. the mosquito bites or these bumps that happen in marriage, kids, money, new job, death, all of the things. So, you really have to take inventory of those things. And, if you've listened to all of our episodes, we've talked and had real open and intimate accounts of how we've had to address some of these things. And we still have more stories to tell, but we've talked about death. We've talked about career changes. We've talked about dealing with your parents' support, having to support your parents. Each of those itches, while they affect you as an individual and might affect your biological family, like it's an itch that carries over into the relationship, and it's an itch that you both have to scratch respectively. So so it's just one of those things. You're always gonna have an itch that needs to be scratched. There's always going to be a problem or something that needs to evolve, just like you're always going to get bit. So keep that in mind as you think about your relationship. So number one, the itch is never scratched.
And I really love that analogy so much. I didn't know you were going to bust the barbecue on all that. So I had to have at least, can I just have one slight comment or rebuttal on it?
Of course.
I like your analogy so much, but I think too, like when you think about mosquito bites, as a kid, I learned the hard way. Like, I scratched it so much that it got worse. Exactly. And in some ways, I think that's an interesting analogy for marriage as well, because you have to figure out what works the best for that itch. Like,
correct, you were treating it wrong. That's what it was.
And so I think in our society, they say, "Oh, I have a 7-year itch. I had to cheat. I had to play video games all the time. I had to do whatever it is." But it's like, that's not really taking the problem away. Like, some of those remedies you're selecting don't actually take it away. They make it worse.
Exactly.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, thank you. So
you're good for something.
Thank you for saying that. Sure, with your awesome analogy from earlier.
What?
So the second way we've worked through our 7-year itch, you have to accept that things are going to change. Like what you walked in or what you did when you were 27, 28, 29, is not going to hit and work the same way when you're 40. Like, things will change. Your life circumstances will change. You'll probably be making more money. So you've probably hopefully met some of your professional hopes and desires, and then you're going to expect your partner to be that way. You're going to find out that your sex life is going to change. Whether it's your physical limitations or whether you're looking for something different, like that. Like,
or you're 9 months pregnant.
Exactly. Like, or 1 through 9 months pregnant. Like, but I think that's a big thing. Like, sex is going to change, which what might have pleased your partner, in months, 5 and 6, definitely might not hit the same way in years 5 and 6. So you have to, you can't take it personal. It's not about you, your stroke, or, whatever you're doing. It's about, hey, like, the needs might have changed, and it might what's required of you might actually be even simpler, but it's understanding that that's going to change. The need maybe for physical contact might be more like, anybody that knows me or, that's ever been with me, there's many out there, many of you.
Line up, ladies.
It's hard for me to like sit still and let somebody lay on me during a movie. I just want to be in my space and, just do it. But I know that's important for Joy. So, like, I've learned, it's taken 10 years. I can probably make it through a good 15 minutes now. But you're just laying and falling asleep on me. But I accept that's a change, and that's just like your needs are changing, my needs are changing. The shit just changes.
I mean, just saying, Coley wouldn't even let me hold his hand. It took practice, and now he lets me. Maybe like 10 seconds, 15.
It's a 10
maybe
count.
30.
It's that was once, and that's because I messed up
real bad. No,
I was like, what can I do?
No. But I would say, just to build off of your point, you also had to accept that things change, but you also had to accept that things don't change. And I think that's a big one, especially once you, like, in the first 1 to 2 years of marriage, sometimes you might go in with, like, unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. Like, they did this, but we're married now, so it's going to change. Or they used to do this, now it's going to change because we have kids. They're not going to do this anymore. Or if we relocate, they're not going to do this. But it's like, really, a hard part of staying together is the acceptance of that you cannot change this person. They are not going to change. Some things are never going to change. Like, for the rest of your life, if you're with this person, they're not going to throw away cheese wrappers. You just have to think and accept that some things, don't change.
Exactly.
That's hard.
Or, again, things will change. Like, hey, why is this pack of turkey breast lunch meat in the bathroom? Where did this come from?
But I'm just saying, in general, there's like pet peeves we both have.
Yes.
That you just are like, I wish this would change. And that really can spark a lot of arguments because you're trying to change the person. And eventually, I think it helps you with the itch if you just are like, these 5 things are not going to change about my partner. Like, yes. How can I work with them around this or set boundaries around this for myself so that we can live together copacetically? But, like, a lot of arguments are about really you trying to make the person you. And the person is, like, not you.
Yes. Yeah, and I think the longer you're with them, you even think, like, hey, this is going to make me upset. So why is this even happening right now? But it's still gonna happen. So I mean, it's we're saying it both ways. Like, things are gonna change, but things also won't change that you want. And I think another change we didn't talk about. You'll have more people in your life and relationships than you thought about. Like, the addition of children changes your relationship, right? Because now your love is split multiple ways, right? There's enough for you to go around, but now your attention is going to be focused in other ways. Your professional endeavors, like the need to earn, will change, right? You feel, I could say, like, I always been ambitious, always wanted to climb the corporate ladder, but I felt the need and pressure to do it more so once, I had the kids came, because now there's actual people who need my income to survive. Like, there's schools, there's education opportunities, there's extracurricular activities. There's just like things you want to happen in their life and your life and comfort. But kids will change the dynamic of your relationship. You're no longer with, I'm no longer just Coley, your partner. I'm now a dad. So you're going to see a paternal side of me, which actually you might like, oh man, I thought dude was cool, but I really like him now that I'm seeing him as a father. And the same goes with you as a mother and someone that you watch carrying a baby. But, all of that comes with time. We have physical changes. You put on weight, lose muscle, gain muscle, whatever.
Or you might be sick,
Yeah, all of that stuff changes. Loss of loved one and parents, that changes you, right? You deal with that. You deal with that as a couple. You might have never seen your partner be down and depressed. All of a sudden, now that you've seen that side of it, like, it changes how you think of them. Not in a bad way, but just in terms of like, okay, like this person does feel, and they can feel in such a strong way. It can impact them and can impact me and the kids. So, like, the relationship that you signed on the dotted line for isn't going to be the same relationship throughout, which I think is a good segue, and then really connected to our third point of how we're working through the 7-year itch is understanding that disappointment comes with the territory.
Yeah, to me, that's I don't want to say my favorite one because it's kind of like morbid. But I really do think that, like, knowing that disappointment comes with the territory actually, like, helps, because a lot of, if you watch rom-coms, if you watch the Disney movies, like, they literally say happily ever after, their happy ending, all of this stuff. And it's like, no, this person is going to let you down multiple times. They're probably going to let you down even harder because you're with them, like, all the time. So you're gonna get disappointed, or maybe like something that will happen in your life that was an outside thing that you didn't see that was coming, and the way your partner responds to it will, like, shock you. Like, you might be like, oh, I didn't expect them to respond to this like this way.
Yeah.
Like it, and then you start to think to yourself, like, damn, who did I marry? Like, who is this? Like, you're going to be disappointed. Like, you're going to question it. Like, I think that's a part of the fact that it says, like, the itch is always there. You might always question things that are going on, and you're going to be disappointed by them.
Yeah, exactly. But I think disappointment also comes with understanding that the marriage and being with this partner wasn't the answer to all of your problems, right? Like, as a single person, I always said, once I get married, all my problems will be solved. I don't have to go to the clubs and look for nobody. I'm going to have somebody with me. I'm going to have somebody that wants to do everything that I want to do, and they're going to love doing it. I'm going to have somebody who thinks exactly how I think, so we can complete each other's sentences. We're going to think about money in the same ways. We're going to think about life in the same ways. And I think the disappointment comes, for me, disappointment comes in life in general, whether you're married or not. 7-year itch, 1-year itch, whatever, that's going to come. But I think some of the disappointment comes, your life plan wasn't as solid as you thought it was. You thought this would happen, you would get everything solved, right? You graduate from college, you say, you know what? Once I get out of school and I'm making 35 G's a year, all my problems will be solved. I'm gonna be good.
Balling.
I can have my own apartment. I'm gonna have my own car. All my problems will be solved once I get this degree. And the reality is, and I can speak from my experience, it took me over almost 18 months to get into my actual field full time as a professional after I graduated with awards, honors, recommendations, blah, blah, blah. That was a disappointment. So as you move through your relationship, those disappointments get compounded because now you're sharing those with somebody else, and then you have to share in someone else's. You could have a great day at work and something great happens, but if your partner has a bad day, it's like, how do you be like, oh, crap. I was happy that there was extra Chipotle left in the cafeteria. I had a great day. And what happened with your day? Oh, they didn't approve your vacation, your PTO. Oh, I guess I can't.
Can't celebrate.
Yeah.
Barbacoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's true that like you have disappointments in life in general, but then when you're married, now you're taking on the load of your partner's life, their family, the disappointments that come with that. Then you have kids, there's disappointments that come with that you're all sharing. And then sometimes there's disappointments that you just have internally with yourself.
Exactly.
That you're dealing with. And it's really easy. They say the people closest to you are the ones you hurt the most because they're there. And so I think sometimes that makes people feel like, oh, does this person love me? Do they care? Why would they hurt me like this? Why would they do this to me like this? And you don't know where to go.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I think, it's funny, you were talking about something earlier we were talking about things will change. And I think, too, again, it's kind of connected, right? Your partner isn't going to change in the ways that you think they will right away. You're going to think, oh, this person's always going to get up and know to make the bed with me every single morning. They're always going to get up and clean, do whatever chore that they were doing when they started. And it's just like the disappointment comes because we all put on the fronts on the upfront in a relationship, just like you do during a job interview. Like you're going to shirt and tie, you're going to say all the right answers. Oh, I love to start at 8 a.m. I'm an early bird. Oh my goodness, that's so much better. And then once you get that job, that, that kind of gratitude and indebtedness that's there, it just goes away. So I think with these relationships, when that happens, I feel you don't know how to deal with that because you're thinking this person made a sacred vow to me to honor, love, behold, cherish. But you can do all of that, but still not change in the way the person wants. You can still be true to your vows, but doesn't mean you're necessarily going to change to be the person that your spouse wants you to be, which will ultimately lead to disappointment.
And I also think, like, the disappointment one is so deep because it's almost like you have to also consider to extend grace to your partner, which is really, to me, the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because someone might disappoint you and not even realize they're disappointing you. Like, they had no intention of disappointing you, no intention of letting you down, and no intention of even sometimes breaking your trust, depending on how you trust people. Like, it's not, like, intentional. Some stuff is, but sometimes it's just, like, not intentional. And it's very hard to process that part, like, oh, they didn't do this on purpose. They had my best interest at heart. Especially, I think in marriage, you constantly disappoint each other. So you start questioning, like, does this person have my best interest at heart? You know what I mean? You just start, do they know what I actually need? Or do they know what I actually want? Do I know what they need? Do I know what they want? And sometimes, like, I think in relationships too, you're trying to give the person, like, what you think they need instead of what they actually need, and then that can lead to disappointment, and, like, vice versa. And then the other person is, like, pissed off. Well, I did this, and this for you. Like, why are you disappointed?
Yeah, you want them to want what you can provide. You know what I'm saying? And when they don't, you actually get frustrated. Like, if you have a bad day, I'm like, oh, I made your plate. She should be happy because I made her plate. But that's not necessarily what you need. You might just need me to sit down and listen to you vent for 20 minutes. But then when I don't do that, you might be disappointed in me, and then I'm mad at you because I thought the service I provided. I didn't appreciate you. Correct. So it's very easy to get into that infinity loop with your partner. But if you expect, like, hey, the intentions were pure, the execution might be bad. I think it helps you work through things. I think that's where the empathy and the EQ comes in to really, like, kind of connect and
that was a strong bond.
Yeah, to connect with your partner in that regard. So that is our third reason. Disappointment will come with the territory. So reason number 4, in terms of how do you work through the 7-year itch, or how do you scratch the 7-year itch, is you have to look within and figure out who you are. What role are you playing in this itch, right? If you walk into that barbecue and there's going to be mosquitoes there, there's going to be mud and water and moisture, and you don't put on insect repellent, you have played a role in intensifying and multiplying that itch that's all over your body, right? If when you get home, you need to hurry up and get in that bath and, scrub yourself down, get that dirt and grime off, but you don't, you have played a role in making that itch last. Like, you have to really look within to figure out what you've done and what you're doing to help stymie or cut off that itch.
Yeah. I don't know if that I like the analogy of, because it's like there's the only way you could stop the bug bites is not to go to the barbecue, and you don't want the person not to do that.
That's not necessarily where I'm going with it, but I like, discourse. I love it.
Discord.
No, but my point is there's things within you that you can do to manage the itch. Again, we've established that the itch will never be scratched. The itch will always be there. It's a matter of management, right? Like, pain will always be there, but you can always manage it. The itch will always be there, but you can manage it. My thing is there's things that you can do, i.e. looking within yourself, using the barbecue analogy, to help manage that itch. So my thing is, again, if you got the citronella candles, make sure you have matches to light them. Put that bug spray on. Get that itch relief. And I'm not saying you're not going to itch, because I've never had a barbecue where I walked away with 0 mosquito bites. That was a good barbecue.
Yeah, I agree. I'm listening.
You know what I'm saying? So with any marriage, you're going to get bit. You're going to itch. So you have to, though, do the things that are within your power. It has nothing to do with your partner. Whether or not you put insect repellent on, it's not on me. It's not, if I don't do it, it's on me. I'm a 40-year-old grown man. I'm good. I'm out there. Like, I could still get bit, but I'm going to get bit a hell of a lot less if I cover myself. So within the context of your marriage, there's things that you have to do or recognize the role that you've played in making this itch appear on your body, because by getting married, I'm saying that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But then B, by not looking within yourself, there's things that, just in the last 2 years, like, I've contributed to this. Like, like my actions have made this dynamic in our relationship. Therefore, my actions now need to be focused on changing this, right? That's what I'm saying there.
No, I mean, I'm not like questioning what you're saying. I actually kind of like the analogy. I was just doing like a devil's advocate type thing.
No, that's what the
it
ain't gonna hurt nobody.
But I would just say, like, it's really true. Like, more than you realize. Like, sometimes if you're having, what I've discovered, and I can only speak personally for myself, but sometimes, like, when we're having like a lot of conflict, a lot of issues, like, sometimes it is something going on with me. Like, I could be like be depressed. Like, I know, like, when we had kids, I like had postpartum depression. In hindsight, I didn't realize it, and I was just angry. You know what I mean? Like, and that impacts your relationship. Like, sometimes you're like, when I think of looking from then, it's like, is something going on with me? Like, and that doesn't have to be necessarily like mental, but it could be like, your job has changed. Like, when we say our life, like in 2019, like, there was 1 year where I think we like moved, I was pregnant, and when we got married, we moved, and you started a new job. Or it was something like that. Or we've had a lot of those type of like transitions where most people are like, just one of those is very stressful and like have a huge impact on a relationship. But you did all three.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like, how reevaluate your life. Like, what's going on just with you? Like, as a mom, are you trying to figure out how to be a mom? Are you transitioning between jobs? Is your job stressful and you're taking it out on your partner? Are you like soul searching and you're not the person that you're definitely not the person you were when y'all first got married. And you have no idea who you are now. Like, your identity is like lost. Or maybe you put your full identity into your partner, like you lost yourself in your actual partner. And when that happens, it can have a lot of issues in your relationship. You know what I mean?
1,000%, right? If you think about, right, another analogy I have, it's like, just to build off the point you were saying, when Forrest Gump was running across the country, he just started running and running and running. And then people started following him. Then one day he said, you know what? I'm tired. And they were like, now what are we supposed to do? Right? And I think that happened. And they were just like, what are we supposed to do now? And then I think in your marriage, sometimes, you're happy to go along for the ride with your partner, but your partner might be thinking like, oh, I'm just doing this for now. I'm just trying to figure some shit out myself. And then when they make that change and you're like, what about me? They're like, yeah, like,
I don't care.
like, I got to do this for me. That comes with it. But I also think, when looking within yourself, you have to understand there's like certain, like, there's your own mortality starts to come into question, right? Like, it's very easy to start to compare yourself to other couples, other dudes, to see what they're doing, other peers and coworkers. Like, oh man, I know this dude is making 50 G's more than me, man, but we were just sitting next to each other. What did he do that I didn't do? And it's those type of comparisons and insecurities that will permeate their way into the marriage, right? Or you can compare yourself to other couples, like, man, how'd they get that crib? What are they doing that we're not doing? And it could be anything. They could. A lot of times you find out people will. Oh my God, camera. They faking the funk. They don't got it like that. You really think they got it like that, but they don't. A lot of times you feel, you know what? They came from a financially stable family, so they got $150,000 to start their adult life out. So they had room to make mistakes, to do things, or had enough money to put a down payment and buy their first condo, right? So it's very easy to compare yourself to other people, but in doing that, you might forget who you are, and then you'll change who you are to your partner because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it could be unintentional. But that can lead to some of the discourse that leads to a 7-year relationship. Like, this is not the person I married. Why is this person dressing like this? Why is this person so fixated on trying to go to these events or be a part of this circle? It's like, I didn't marry this dude. Like, I didn't marry her. Like, she didn't. Like, she never liked that. Like, if I would have known you like that, like, I'm not the dude for you. Or,
or vice versa. Yeah, it's just like, and two, but I think going back to just like looking within yourself, it's like you have to remember that like happiness is like a temporary emotion.
It really is.
It's like when somebody's like, we live happily, like, oh, I'm not happy in this marriage, that's temporary. That shouldn't be the reason. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say a reason for divorce because that's personal, but I would just say, like, if you're like, man, I'm unhappy in this marriage, like, that unhappiness means that there's a problem that needs to be solved, and the fact that the problem isn't solved is what's making you unhappy. So if you're trying to figure out, like, you got to try to figure out, like, how can I solve the problem, and without trying to control somebody else, because any problem you're facing, it's really only, that's what I too also mean with look within. Like, you can only do what you can do. You can't force somebody else to do something. Like, if you see a problem that you want solved, and unfortunately it involves your partner, you got to figure out, like, what can I do to make it work, like, for me? Because I can't control that person. I can't change. I can't make them do, like, because I think a lot of times in relationships too, you'll be like, well, if only they would do this. Like, if only on every Thursday, Coley would just, like, stop doing this. Like, if only he would stop doing this, or if only he would stop saying this. But if that's your, like, thought process, it's like, well, that one puts all the blame on your partner, and then two, it's not holding you accountable. Like, well, what can you do? Like, that's another thing, like, with looking within. When there's problems in the relationship, sometimes it has to also be like, yeah, they do always do this all the time, but what can I do? Like, do I have low expectations? Do I not have clear boundaries? And so that's why this person keeps repeatedly doing this behavior. Like, look within.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's deep. Like, yeah, you can be part of the problem, or you can be part of the solution. Yeah. So it works both ways. And I like what you said, right? Like you said, happiness is temporary. Sadness is temporary. It's all about what you do when you're in the moments of happiness, and then how are you equipping yourself in those moments of sadness, right? Because like they always say, when it rains, it pours. So it's not always going to be good. And when it's not, you just got to be prepared and have the tools to weather those storms. So, and that might be, I think, well, we can get into some of those tools in our fifth and final point, which is, so number 4 was look within. So number 5 is, you have to learn to like your partner. Again. Because, again, things have changed, and we've established that. Things have changed. You've dealt with disappointment. Like, you've had to look within. But while doing all of that, you have to learn to like your partner, because they're not the same person you married after 7 years. You're not the same person that they married. If you have kids, you're now a father, so there's a whole different side of you, a whole different time and resource investment that if it's with your kids, it's just not with your partners. Like, we've maybe gone to brunch on our own 10 times in the last, 3 years, if that, right? I mean, we go to brunch with the kids, we have a good time, but it's like we have to make a concerted effort to fight through sleepiness, tired, fatigue, just to get up to spend quality time to like just talk with each other, not like get checklists to figure out who's going to soccer practice, who's going to gymnastics, who's gonna go to piano, like
are they gonna get babysat, like
like who's doing bath tonight, right? It's just like those type of logistical things can take up your relationship versus just learning how to like your partner again. And one of the things, I remember one time I was mad at you, and I think in this particular time you were like actually wrong and admitted it. Like, because that's been twice in 10 years.
No, please.
No, I'm kidding. But within that though, like I remember I thought about, like, for whatever reason, like I always think about the way you looked after you gave birth to Chance, and then I saw that same look after you gave birth to Bella, and I was like, I remember I was like mad about something, and I just thought about it. I was like, man, like she like did this for me. She brought my kids into the world. If she could do that, she, I can forget. I can let this go. And then I like made a concerted effort over like the next few weeks just to like brush the small stuff off, and then just focus on like learning to like you, like, or not to give you a reason. I never told you this before, but it was.
Oh, I'm just curious, like what I did. But that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that's a whole nother series, a whole nother podcast. What she did hurt somebody.
What she done.
What she done hurt somebody. she done hurt somebody, and it's me.
Oh, poor baby. No,
yeah. But I think it's like you learn to like your partner. During the pandemic, we did a great interview with world-renowned therapist Esther Perel.
Oh,
Check it out on
did.
NPR. And it's like even during the pandemic, you had to find new ways to connect with. It actually helped us because we had time to do it at that point. But to learn to like each other.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the key word is like learn. Like, it's like maybe in the beginning, phases when you're dating and infatuated, like it was just like an innate emotion. Like you liked the person, you wanted to be around them all the time. It was just organic. Like, but like people change, and like sometimes the list of things that you don't like, especially if you're going through the things that you don't like, can be longer than the things that you like. And I think that can be like misconstrued that you just like hate them and don't like them. But if the list of don't likes is longer than likes, you're going to have more contention. So I think it's like learning how to like switch that list, or learning, and with that keyword is learn, like you might have to go to counseling. Like you probably, if you already gotten to the point that you don't like things or you don't like your partner, like it takes practice to learn how to like them, to learn how to see them differently, to learn how to forgive, like a lot of it, and forget. Like a lot of times people, like it helps if people can get like a clean slate, because if everything is like, things are gonna happen. Like we already said, number 3 was the disappointments, but some of them disappointments like turn into resentment, and you still holding on to that stuff, and then you just can't get past it. Like I just would say, like, one way to learn how to like them is to go to counseling, like hash out your problems, learn to communicate. Maybe your counselor can teach you how to communicate differently than the way you're communicating, but it's really also, you have to figure out, how can I forgive this person? How can I move past this? How can I trust this person? And that, to me, still builds off of the looking within, because you have to look within to forgive somebody. It's like that random saying, like when you are angry with someone or have unforgiveness, it's like you're drinking the poison, but you expect them to die. Yeah. It's like you got to look within. It's like, and that might help you to like them. Or it's hard. Like I wish it
really is, but I think you can Google like how to work through a 7-year relationship. Everything's going to say listen better, go to counseling, go to date nights, and all of those things matter. But I think there has to be a desire want to, you know, and I think, you know, and I think you kind of implied to it, like there has to be a desire to want to know this person, to care about this person, to connect with this person. Because I think without that, you're just going through the motions, right? Like I remember the excitement when we were doing long distance of like, I'm finna drive to Milwaukee and I'm finna spend the weekend with Joy. Or then when you were coming, like, oh, she's gonna spend the weekend with me. Like that feeling was like no other. Like, you know, it's like,
it was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It's something to look forward to. And like, you don't get those moments anymore. Like those just moments to miss somebody and all you're focusing on is the good things because you don't have the time to agonize over the disappointments because it's like, oh, whatever. Like I'm about to, you know, I might not see her for another 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm just going to focus on having a good time, making sure we watch shows, go to the movies, we enjoy the food we do, go for the walks and get it in. And I think that same energy needs to be applied, and really the forgiveness needs to be there so you can learn to like somebody. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself as well. Like when you know, we talked about looking within, you really have to like forgive yourself because you've probably done some stuff or in some ways you had a vision of what you would be like as a spouse, and then you might be mad at yourself because you didn't live up to that vision, but you might be taking it out on them. Yeah. You know, you might be doing a fine enough job, but it's like that other shit you carry and that load and that burden that you put on your partner can mess things up. So, you know, I think our first point that the itches never scratch is real. This stuff takes work. You have to look within. You do have to like tell your partner. Your partner has to be receptive. You know, I think there's always opportunity. Now, we've seen people just become mean and treat their partner mean, and then it's like, oh, well, this isn't gonna work. Like, you're like angry. You're not happy with this person, this situation, you know. But you know, for us, you know, our 7-year itch was a tough year, 2019, and we're gonna do a whole episode about our 2019. But again, birth, death, loss, we dealt with it all during our 7-year. During our 7th year, and then our 8th year is, you know, when the pandemic came. So yeah, so I don't think we could have even legally got divorced if we wanted to during our 8th year because all the courthouses were closed. Where'd you go? Exactly. So I think that's why we're here. Thank you, COVID. No. But no, I think it's a lot within that. So, you know, we just came up with this show and this episode literally as we sat down. So and it's a lot of just kind of visceral like stuff just coming out.
Yeah, just reflection. Yeah,
there's a lot of reflection coming out. So the prep wasn't there, but I really like this conversation.
Well, the only thing I will say, just I do as well, sir. Well done conversation, sir. I appreciate your thought.
Yeah, I did the Italian pizza. Hey,
that's good. Okay. But I would say with the take interest or like learn to like them as well, I think one more little caveat is like try to do something like different. Like try to outside of like go to counsel. I know everyone's like go to counsel, blah blah. But maybe it's like something else y'all could do. Maybe I could meal prep together, or maybe I could take a weight loss journey or go to improv. Like me and him, we did improv together for a while. Was it random? Yeah, but it was like our attention wasn't solely focused on everything we each are doing wrong to each other. Yeah. It's like find something, like do a hobby, ride bikes together, like find something that just like this podcast to me is our form of like finding something that we do together that takes our minds off of the problems of the world, the problems we have with each other, the problems of our, you know what I mean? Like It's something that me and you have that we do together, our hobby. And like who knows? Maybe we were arguing right before we came in here. We weren't, but you know what I mean? But it's like we come here and we have this. So it's like
this whole experience was different. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like find something if you're struggling, like maybe find something to like channel the energy that's positive in a different way. And I will say there was a period when we slept in different bedrooms, and that was the best thing that ever happened in my whole life. And I would say like, you know, like the difference when you're first dating to like when you're married, and especially when you have kids, like you don't have that time to just like decompress from the anger you're feeling. Exactly. It's like boom, boom, boom. Like you don't have, like when we were dating, I don't say, was it distance love or long distance? Long distance, yeah. When we were doing that or whatever, you like at least have your week time to walk away from each other. Now you're in the same house all the time.
Yeah.
You barely get any time to like decompress.
Exactly.
And that makes it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just funny. You said the thing about beds. I remember we got a hotel and they only had a king bed. The look of disappointment in your face.
Like, I got to sleep with this N-word. Like, see it.
They didn't have queen beds. Like, I'm 2 queen beds. I'm sorry. Jeez.
Oh, man.
But we're at about time. So as you know, we like to wrap our shows with a little segment called Things We Wish We Would Have Known. So I'm going to keep it topical. I wish I really would have known. Point number 3, disappointment comes with the territory. I think just again, you don't get to this idyllic state where you're just in euphoria once you get married. It's actually a lot more work, and you're establishing a new normal in your life in terms of how to deal with things. And I think disappointment comes with that. I think the reality is happiness is temporary, disappointment is temporary, and they're all real emotions that you face. Like, people, know how to put on faces when they're in public, but like in, very private moments or even some public moments, you will find yourself disappointed with your partner, with yourself, with your marriage, with it's your family, whomever. But that's just now part of life. So disappointment, it just comes with the territory of life. Things I wish I would have known.
Oh, okay. And I think I'll say mine. I think the thing I wish, and I'm going to stay on the topic too, the thing I wish I would have known is the importance of timing. Like, we've been married 10 years. I roll. And I've just discovered, like, shit, that was a good point. But the timing of when I delivered it was not good. Yeah. And because of that, he didn't receive my point. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
yes, I do. I do. I know exactly,
and then I'm
exactly
pissed off. Like, why is he not listening to me right now? But it's like your timing. Like, timing is everything. And we've had this argument both ways, because he'll do something and I'll be like, why am I so pissed off right now? And it's like, it's the timing of it.
Yeah.
Like, timing is key, and it's very hard to find like the best time. Like, that comes with practice. I really do feel like, but just knowing the importance of timing and like giving yourself, even if you're really angry, give yourself time to think it through. Don't just like respond so fast. Like, timing is key. It makes a difference.
Yeah, very, very, very true. So with that timing in mind, that's our show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Thank you.
Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody podcast. We out.